good morning, evening, or afternoon, whichever one's going on for you at this current point in time. Today we're talking about the RYOBI bucket top vac, and I did get it in a bundle with the 2 amp hour battery and charger. It usually goes for about 150, 160 bucks with this. I managed to snag it for 79 bucks, so out the door it's like 85 and some change. So charger here, and the reason I don't have the 2 amp hour out right now is because this thing eats 2 amp hour batteries. So I am going to do a time test where we do runtime with a 2 amp, a 4 amp, and a 6 amp hour battery, just to give you some numbers. Going to go through some pros really quick, go through some cons really quick. Also go through a set you're going to want if you are going to be keeping something like this to improve its performance. And also a couple of improvements that I would like to see for Gen 2. So no more wasting your time. Let's do it. Now pro number one is it is cordless. You heard me right. See that right there? It's where your battery goes. No problem. Slap it in and you're ready to go. No cords. Unfortunately, for those of you out there who may want a hybrid version, this is not said thing. It is cordless fully. So yeah, don't know what to tell you. Pro number two is it is wet dry. So mainly I'm going to be using it for dry applications, but if you needed to use wet applications for whatever reason, maybe you're pulling the refill valve out of a toilet or you're putting new seals or something, maybe you have a bird bath or a fountain in your yard, you want to take the water out so you can move it a little easier, you can definitely do it with that. And I would obviously take off the filter if you are going to be using it for wet applications, the dry stuff, then you put the filter on, okay? Keep that in mind. A lot of people like to leave their filter in while it's being used for water and it ruins the filter. Now, besides the standard 1.25" hose that it does come with, it also comes with a tiny crevice tool, and obviously, maybe not obvious to you from this angle, but there is onboard storage, right? So your crevice tool has a neat little spot up top. You sit it in and it stays there, right? It does fit in either position, but I don't know. You can throw it in either orientation. As for the hose itself, it's supposed to technically be wrapped around the back, and then the ribs are supposed to sit in. But these little tabs right here, zoom in action, do a trash job of holding the ribs in. So con number one is onboard storage is not great. That thing will keep slipping off, so there's no point in even, using it. It would have been nice to see some kind of clasp or something that would, hold this thing down in place to kind of keep it nice and snug. But that is not the case here, so it'll just keep coming off. Also with the hose, because of the way it articulates at this joint, let me see if I can get a good shot of that. Because of where it articulates at this joint here, as it's moving, since it's super stiff, eventually that friction works its way out and the hose disconnects. So you're spending time hooking it back up. That's kind of annoying. So I would have liked to see a retracting hose or a flexible retracting hose like the one on the Rigid, just so that you can pull it away, use it as you need, and then it kind of retracts back into place into a better onboard storage. Pro number three is it is lightweight. Obviously, you could take it. It's medium weight, and also it is universal as far as buckets. This is a Burger King pickle bucket, so any standard bucket will do. Home Depot, Harbor Freight, Lowe's, you can buy the name brand stuff or just go with whatever's generic. And yes, it does fit those stubby buckets if that's what you have, but obviously you want more capacity. So it is universally bucket accepting. And the fourth pro is that the handle actually locks in to this side right here. If you look real close, you'll see that there is a little slope, a little taper, kind of like a V, that traps the handle in place. Now you do have to pinch it on both sides and bring the handle back in order to take the bucket vac off in order to dump it. But if you're going to be waiting until your capacity is all the way to the top, this is a great way to keep pulling it around with you without having to keep bending over to pick that that handle back up. That's definitely good. It saves some backs out there. So you already heard con number one is the onboard storage is not the best. That crevice tool, it's going to sit there for all of eternity because it makes this thing loud. Louder, I should say, because the worst con about this, con number two, is it's so loud. Let me show you what I mean. So as you saw, we are clearing 92, 93 decibels. That is absolutely nuts. And that is no load. So obviously it could be a little quieter or a little louder depending on what it is. When you put on the crevice tool, however, it gets even worse because now besides being loud, it's also like a high-pitched garish sound. Let me show you a little bit of what I'm talking about. And con number three is even though they do offer replacement filters at Home Depot, they don't have a HEPA or a fine particle option. So it's general stuff, but if you're in a tiny stairwell, a pantry, a closet, a small bathroom, and you're doing your shop vacuuming, whatever's coming out of the exhaust port is, you're breathing that back in. Also, I guess to add another pro is this is a blower port, so you can take off the hose from over there, put it over here, and now it's a blower. So that's cool, but the name of the game is noise. So now that we got the pros and we got the cons, let me show you one thing you may want to add if you are going to be picking something like this up. This is the auto detailing kit for rigid or for rigid vacs. Right? Wrong. It's an 1.25" accessory set. Comes with all kinds of goodies. If you need something a little more broad, they have an 1.25" insert in there, so it can be used with more than one size. Pretty neat, huh? If you need something a little more tight, their crevice tool is the one she told you not to worry about. Also 1.25". Those two heads are going to be the main thing you're going to want to be using with this thing. Now also, they do come with brush attachments. The white one is the gentle bristle, and the black bristled is more abrasive, or the more aggressive brush. Right? They do also come with an 1.25" to 2.5" friction fit adapter. And of course, it does come with a much better hose. So if you wanted to use something like this, where it goes from 1.25" and then opens up to like a 2.5", and you can use that head, something like this, right? You can definitely use it. As you can see, I use this for drywall. This thing with the orbital sander, 10 out of 10. The three main improvements that I would like to see for the shop vac, I'm just pointing you towards my RYOBI corner, is I would like to see a brushless whisper motor in one of these. That would be top tier. And also I would like to see a HEPA filter, fine particle filter, something that's offered that I could buy on top of the general stuff to, minimize the amount of particulates in the air. That, and also better onboard storage, something that's going to keep the hose from doing a little dance every time I pick it up and walk around with it. You know what I mean? The retractable hose from the NXT Rigid Shop Vac, RYOBI, make one of those. Make it stretchy and it comes back. 2 to 6 feet is what the Rigid has. You can do one of those. Don't tell me TTI can't use the same materials. Take that shop vac hose that retracts, loop it around the top of the bucket, and it's going to be much better. Quieter and more ergonomic is the name of the game. You can definitely make one that's stronger than this, and if you make one that's better, if this costs $60, make that one $100, or whatever you feel is the right pricing for it. People are willing to invest if it's worth the money. Do you hear me, people? Stop spending your money on dumb stuff just because it's all that's on the market. We need better stuff. You need to push the brands to make what you need, what's better, not just close enough, but really hitting the nail on the head. So I'm going to do run times with a 2, 4, and 6 amp hour battery, and then after that, we'll take it to the miter saw, see what kind of performance it does as far as dust extraction, and I'll send you on your way. Sound good? Fully charged 2 amp hour battery. In 3, 2, 1, go. All right, it just powered down. 6 minutes, 7 seconds. Let's cut that out of 7 seconds and just call it 6 minutes even. And instead of me wasting your time by doing this 2 more times with the 4 and 6, so 6 minutes with a 2 amp, which means 12 minutes with a 4 amp and 18 minutes with a 6 amp. Probably 18 and a half with the high performance battery, but you get what I mean. Also, something I do want to point out to RYOBI is that while it's running, if you take a 2.5 inch to 1.25 inch and you just hold it over, the noise difference is insane. Let me just grab a 4 amp hour battery over here, or yeah, just a 2 amp, really doesn't matter. But when you change the, I guess the shape of the opening, this is what it's normal, and then I'm just gonna like insert it after you hear the bass line. That noise difference is crazy. So all you gotta do, keep the handle out of the plastic, set it down, and pull up on these plastic tabs. Not hard, just enough to let go of the bucket. As you can see, I've definitely been using mine, but super simple. The band, woo, just turn you a little this way. The band is up here, right? So this is basically just a friction fit with a rubber band for the sleeve to go over. Pull the band off, pull the filter out, clean it or replace it, but for what it is, it's definitely a general purpose type of situation. I definitely don't see this winning any awards for, you know, most pollution removed from the air, but something is something, and I am glad that they have replacements for it. Also, really quick, whatever dingus decided to make the design where the battery port is facing this way, look where the hose is, dude. Look, all this real estate over here. Turn this around, you could check your battery with no issue, right? If it's like this, you have to be fighting in here. Come on, or you can't reach under, so you got to sit here, right? Click, and then kind of peek down or peek under. That's dumb. All this real estate over here. Come on. And don't tell me, well, you could just look at the battery when the cord is wrapped up. No, because then the cord's here and here. Come on, either make it front facing in the future, make it front facing, or put it the other way. Not hard, guys. Come on. So the flex miter saw does have an 1.25 inch connection, hence where the bucket is connected. I did put a clamp right here, keep our material in place because I am going to be using one hand for recording. And just to show you, with the light on, we do have our line drawn up. So let's let it rip and see how much we can actually collect. Obviously, we have to turn our vacuum on first. I'll just take off our scrap here. We're looking in here, we just turn on the light. Barely anything in that recess down there. Pretty nice. Even in the little chip boot, basically just nothing in there. Yeah, that's like old dust that's been kind of settled in there, but basically nothing. Wow. I'm actually very impressed by that. If you need to be on the back of your truck or something doing miter stuff, you can definitely get something done with the RYOBI vac and not need to worry about dumping out a reservoir and all that stuff. So this is pretty cool. And of course, that flex making the beautiful cut. These flex blades, don't fall asleep on them. If you can't find the Milwaukees or Diablos, you could do a lot worse than a flex blade. I am gonna do one more super thin cut just because I hate irregular edges like this of scrap wood. I like them to be nice and even. So once more, back on. And this time, a lot of splitting and definitely some more dust back here. Super normal for a miter saw, but again, definitely keeping most of the stuff that you're going to be chewing through and ripping through. I mean, a couple specks here and there. Even give it the zoom in action. I mean, very little. Impressive. vacuum. It's made to get into here, grab loose stuff, right? So if you have a pile of sawdust, if you have some leaves, some dirt around your garage or something, then that's what it's for. But this thing is not made to, you know, take to your car and, you know, detail it and think it's gonna like pull ancient French fries that are melted into your cushions or your mats with, I don't know, old melted Skittles. You know what I mean? Like, it's not that kind of vacuum. My Rigid is definitely stronger, probably by twice as much power, but something like this is made to be super quick, and you can do stairs, you can do, you know, brick dust, or maybe soot if you're cleaning out like an oil burner or something. Loose, dry materials. So, right? No snake oil. You can see the particles here. That's just little bits of sawdust. This needs to be agitated with a brush. So I don't want to sell any snake oil or be pushing RYOBI. It's a real world application, right? So if you got little stuff like that, get a drill brush or something to condition and loosen up the fibers to release these particles. See something like back here? This kind of loose stuff, pick it up no problem. I made some more cuts just to kind of cover this thing. Alright, one fully charged 4 amp later. This thing is probably 70% clean. These fibers are super stubborn. Is this made for this? For upholstery or for... No. So if you're starting like a commercial detailing thing for upholstery or for vehicles, no. This is definitely not gonna be your power source. You definitely want to get some higher end stuff with more horsepower. But for cleaning general purpose stuff, for mitering, for most things just to keep the debris down, perfectly fine. And of course, if you have a bunch of buckets and you're doing a really big mess, you can jump from bucket to bucket and worry about the cleanup later. Unlike standard shop vacs where you have to clean that reservoir every single time it fills up. With that being said, you choose for yourself. None of this is, you know, sponsored or sent to me. It's all paid for by me. So, you know, no nonsense. If it sucks, it sucks. If it's good, it's good. In my case, I'm 50-50 with it. Let me know what you think, if you have it or if you're going to go get it, or if you're going to skip it completely. I want to know. Work smart.